Hi everyone, this is Debbie with Book and BuJo. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you've been here before. Join me today as I go through all of the month-long readathons I'm participating in September. Now I did film this one over a couple of different days, so you'll see an outfit change, but that's because I wanted to spend as much time as possible trying to figure out all of the books for my TBR for the month-long readathons. Some overlap, some don't, and I think I'm a tad bit crazy with actually being able to finish this TBR. We'll see. All right, month-long readathons. What am I participating in September? Well, of course we have the Magical Readathon by the lovely G at Book Roast, and I have 4 characters. It's gonna be a lot of prompts. But we also have SeasonAthon Academy with Completely Melanie, Everbloom Academy with Meg Reads, Scientific September with Tasha's Library, the Readathon Rebellion with Mel from Melanor Reads, and we have the Cryptid Creatures Readathon by Sweet Tea Reads. So I have 6. Let's hope there's a lot of overlap with all the prompts. So let's get right into the readathons. Let's start with Scientific September. Okay, here are my roles for Scientific September with Tasha's Library, and we start on the start spot. I'm going to roll a 6-sided die and see how far it takes me. Roll number 1. A 6. Nice. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You create a code to simplify your notes on the behavior of sea otters. Use a random letter generator to choose your next book. Okay, random letter generator for Scientific September, prompt 1. A. Oh, thank goodness. I thought that was going to be a Z. Roll number 1. I rolled a 6, which is a great start, and I got a random letter generator. So I got an A. And for this one, I'm going to read A Time of Dread by Gwynne. So I actually found a book on my already on my TBR that started with an A. Okay, roll number 2. A 2. 1, 2. You consult with a colleague over the mating habits of a rare bird. Read a book that is recommended to you. Roll number 2, I rolled a 2, didn't get too far, and for that I got a book recommendation. And for that I'm going to read Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. Okay, it's getting a little too humid, so the hair's got to go up. Roll number 3. 3. This is getting weird. 1, 2, 3. Woo! You wonder how your flashlight works while wandering in the dark. Read a book about technology or with technology on the cover. Oh, perfect. Roll number 3. I rolled a 3. It's getting a little weird. So I roll 2, I rolled a 2. Roll 3, I rolled a 3. If I roll a 4 for the next one, that's just going to be weird. Okay, so 3. A book about tech or a book with tech on the cover. And for that, I'm going with a short story collection. I know, who am I? I'm reading all these short story collections, but it's one I found and it was short. And so I'm going with The Last Stand of the Golems. And if you look, he's got tech on his face and this all looks like tech. So yeah, there's definitely technology on the cover. And that is by Joseph Groff. And luckily that's also a prompt for Magical Readathon. Okay, roll number 4. Okay, 1. You notice a pulsating light in the sky. Read a book about aliens or space travel. Roll number 4. I got a 1. Not moving very far. And that was to read a book about space travel. And for this one, I'm basing it off the first book, but there's 2 I can go with. So my first choice is Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. And if for some reason that one's not set in space or have a space travel in it, then I will go with Death's End by Chicks Blue, because I'm pretty sure that one will, because it's the 3rd book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series. So one of those 2, whichever one, I have to read them both, so whichever one fits. Roll number 5. 1. You trip over a vine in a lush rainforest. Read a book with plants or fungi on the cover. Next roll, another 1. That's not fair. Bummer. And that's to read a book with plants or fungi on the cover. And for that, I'm going to read The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I'm going to use this for as many things as I can because it is short. Okay, it's gonna take a while if we keep getting ones. Next roll. 3. 1, 2, 3. You fall into a swamp and your watch stops working. Read a book about time travel or with time on the cover. Roll number 6. I got a 3, but I'll take it. It's better than a 1. And that is to read a book with time travel or time on the cover. And for that, I'm going to finally get around to the Amazon borrow that I've had on my list for, I don't know, it's been there for about 3 years now, I think. It's been a while. And for that, I'm going to read Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Okay, next roll. Get a 6. Get a 6. Ooh, that was a 2. 1, 2. You study a star chart and identify Alpha Centauri. Read a book with astronomical term in the title. Next roll, I got a 2, and that was to read a book with an astronomical term in the title. And for that, I will be reading Hero's Equinox by Antoine Bandelli. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We need 4. We need a 4. Well, hey, it rolled way over there, but it was a 4. I didn't change it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we finished. Yay! Only took us 7 prompts. And then last roll was roll number 4, and that was the end, and I didn't have to do a prompt for that, so yay, I'm done. And I was actually able to get books on there already on my TBR, so that's good too. Next up, we have the Cryptid Creatures Readathon, and that is with Sweet Tea Reads. And there's actually a couple ways that you can do this. So you can do just the cryptid prompt, or you could do just the regular prompt, or you can find books that use both prompts together. So I'm pretty much going to be doing just the book prompts, not the cryptid prompts, because I don't have a whole lot of cryptid books on my TBR already, and it's already huge, so I don't want to add too many more. But if I find some, then I will. And this one, you can double, triple, quadruple, etc. up on all of the books. So if you can find one book that fits every single prompt, then you can just read that one book. So hopefully I have a couple that could double up on here. We'll see. The first one is Bigfoot. That's the cryptid one. And the book prompt is read a book over 400 pages. Well, that's easy. For this one, I'll read one that's closest to the 400 mark, and that's Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead, the fourth book in the Vampire Academy series. The next one is The Loch Ness Monster, and the other prompt is read a book with water on the cover. And for that, I'll be reading Halfway by Stephanie Void, and all of this back here is all water. Third prompt is Ahul. Read a book with flight. And for that, I'm going to read Reckoning, the fourth book in the Songs of Chaos series by Michael R. Miller. Of course, the dragon flies. And then the last prompt on the top row is Jackalope. Read a historical fiction. And I was very excited to see that The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell is a classic, and it's historical fiction. Told you I was going to get this on a lot of stuff. Okay, second row, Kraken. Read a book with pirates. Hooked by Emily McIntyre, which is a Peter Pan retelling. Mothman. Read a dystopian. I have a couple options for this one, but I'm going to put on Wool by Hugh Howey. Now, this one is a shorter version of it, so it's part 1. Not sure exactly what that means, but I'll find out when I read it. Next, Chupacabra. Read a multi-POV book. Now, I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that Gemina will be multi-POV, because the first book was Illuminae. If I'm wrong, I could probably put in A Time of Dread. That one probably is a multi-POV. Sometimes it's hard to know until you read it. The Hero's Equinox, I believe, is also multi-POV. So I think I'm gonna go with we'll go with Gemini, and if that doesn't work, then we'll go with A Time of Dread. Okay, this last one on the second line, Mokel Membi. Not sure what that creature is, but read a book with dinosaurs or dragons. Well, that's easy. I have Reckoning by Michael R. Miller. Third line, Thunderbird. Read a book based around weather. And this one I'm just assuming by the name of the book and a little bit of the description that I read. And that is Windrunner by John Messenger. I don't know why the cover is all funky like that, but there we go. But there's a big tornado on there, so I would say that would be a weather event. Next row is Mongolian Deathworm. That sounds interesting. And that's to read a book with a desert setting. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Moon Dwellers by David Estes. This is the first book in the series. And this is kind of a dystopian, post-apocalyptic type of place where everything's kind of deserty. So there we go. Grootslang. Read a hybrid genre, and for that I'm going to be reading The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodges. And then the last one on the third row, Rougarou, which is I think she said was an Asian werewolf, so she would count werewolves for this as well. And that is to read a book with an animal on the cover. And for that, I'm going to read The Raven Scholar by Antonia Hodges. Last row, a bloop. It's a fun name. I don't know what the creature is, but read a book with noise. And for that, I'm going to read, I found the better cover, but I'm going to read Wind Warrior by John Messenger. And so, yeah, that's a much better version of the cover there. Next, we have The Jersey Devil. Read a book with family dynamic. And for that, I'm going to read Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead. Yeti. Read a book with a cold setting. And for that, I'm going to assume because space is cold. I don't know. Not sure about this one, but right now I have Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. That one may change. We'll see. Maybe Wind Warrior, because the wind can be cold. I don't know. That one is a little up in the air, and I'll find out when I read them which ones are going to be cold. And then lastly, a Bunyip. Read a book set near a swamp, a bog, or a marsh. And I did look it up. And The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. A moor is kind of like a swamp or a bog or a marsh, so I'm counting it. And there is an unofficial group book for the Cryptid Creatures Readathon, and that is the United States Cryptids, and that's kind of a tour of some of the cryptid creatures that the mythology based here in the United States. That one my library does not have, so I will not be able to read that one. But if you have it, I would love to know what you think about it because it sounds really interesting. Next up, we have the Rebellion Readathon with Mel from Melanor Reads. Let's go ahead and go to the game board and roll for our first prompt. Okay, this is for the Rebellion Readathon with Mel from Melanor Reads. And for easy mode, it's 2 6-sided die. For hard mode, it's 1 6-sided die. And then for hero mode, I don't remember exactly what that one was, but the kind of hardest mode is you hit every prompt. I'm going to start with hard mode, and then from there, if I make it through, then I will go through again and see if I can pick up any of the other prompts that I did not. So they have all the different cards that are in here. So out of all of the different spaces in the prompts that I did pull, once I've completed those, I will then remove those from the pile, and then I will play again if I have time and pick out new ones. But to start with, let's go ahead and just go with the one-sided die. I may regret this. I may want to do easy mode, but let's go ahead, especially with all the ones I got in the last game I played. So here we go. Roll number 1. A 2, of course. And I forgot to mention, but there are 4 objectives, and even if you don't land on one of the objectives, you still have to do them. So as soon as you pass one, you have to do that prompt as well as the one you land on. So 2, 1, 2. So that is a roadblock. So I just wrote the initials on the back of the cards when I printed them out. But so you did your job and got information from the villages that the train car the guards used to get up the mountain is still there, but it is old and no longer works. You must work with your other diviners to get it working again. Read a book involving found family. Okay, so we got the roadblock, and that was to read a book with found family. And for that, I'm going to read Hooked by Emily McIntyre. And I'm going out on a limb to assume that this is a found family book just because it's a Peter Pan retelling. So I'm assuming. If I'm incorrect, please let me know. Roll number 2. Ooh, 5, much better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we passed objective 1, so we need to pull one of those. And then we hit another roadblock. Awesome. Okay, so our objective. You know where she's being held. You now have reliable information on the layout of the dungeon. It's time to go after your leader. Break the specter out and bring her home by any means necessary. Be careful. There may be additional challenges along the way. Read a book with an action word in the title. And then the roadblock. You're going to have to travel to get to the dungeon in the mountains. Unfortunately, All of the horses are being used on other missions. Get crafty to find more ways of transportation. Read a book with some form of transportation on the cover. My next roll, I got the objective and another roadblock. For the objective, my action word in the title, I will be reading The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst and Enchanted. So I'm assuming this one was an action. They had to enchant the greenhouse. And for the roadblock, I had to have a book with transportation on the cover. And for that, I'm going to go with The Last Stand of the Golems. And this is by Joseph Graff. And we have some planes in here, some spaceships, something like that. All right, roll number 3. 1. Okay, that's a training prompt. Your fighting skills are top-notch, but let's be honest, they could be better. You and your friends decide it's time for a sparring match to make sure you're in top shape. Read a book with a friend, or participate in a book club. Next, I needed to read a book club book, and for this one, I'm going to read A Time of Dread by John Gwynne, the first book in the Of Blood and Bone series. And that is for the Catch-Up Book Club with Beck and the Books. Roll number 4. We still have a ways to go. Okay, let's hope for a 6. 2. 1, 2. Info gathering. Using your abilities is way more fun than homework, but in order to defeat the ancestors, you need to know everything. You need to be fully prepared for what lies ahead. You decide to search the archives for any information on the ancestors and their dungeons. Do as much research as you can before it's time to embark. Read a book you heard about from a council leader's video. So that's a book recommendation from one of the hosts or co-hosts. Let me move this over. So let's just move these over. Let's move these over here so we have room for all of them. There we go. Next up, more info gathering, and that is to read a host recommendation. And for that, I'm going to read Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. And that was a recommendation from Mel from Mel and Our Reads. Okay, roll number 5. 6. Yay! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Training. Villagers are naturally scared of diviner abilities. They've been told their entire lives that you are evil and something to be feared. A little charm can go a long way when you need information and to show the locals you mean no harm. Read a book with a romantic element. Next was another training card, and that was to read a romance or a book with a romantic element. And I had some romances on my TBR anyway, so I plan on going with The Pickup by Hannah Doyle if I can get access to Hoopla in order to read it. If not, then I will go with Flirting with My Billionaire Enemy by Cindy Ray Hale. Okay, roll number 6. Let's go ahead and get another 6. That'd be great. 3. 1, 2, 3. Roadblock again. Boy, I'm really racking up these roadblocks. Stealth never was your strong suit. Dang it, you've been spotted. What are you going to do? Choose one. Turn around and find another path. Swap out a book on your TBR using a coin toss. Fight your way through. Read a chunky book, 400 pages or more. Your heart manages to manipulate them into thinking you're part of the guards. Read a book someone convinced you to read, but you weren't planning to read yet. Well, you know me, I'm going to read a chunky book. I do like a chunky book. Then I had another roadblock, of course, and that was to read a chunky book. And for that one, I decided to go with Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. And this is the first book in the series, the Sun Eater series. Okay, roll 7. We're really racking them up here. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Info gathering. It's not all fun and games while waiting for the next mission to start. Let's make sure we're caught up on the history of the diviners. Read a book set in the past. Oh, I forgot I passed objective 2, so I need to do the next objective. It's going to take the very best to get the Silent Spectre out alive and to stay alive yourself. Gather a team that you trust to help you accomplish this mission. Make sure you choose wisely. Read a book that has 2+ point of views. Next, I passed another objective, and that was to read a book with 2 or more point of views. And for that, I'm going to be reading Dead Stars Part 2 by Ben Galley. And that should have 2 or more point of views. If not, then I will have to swap it for something else. And then more info gathering, and that was to read a book set in the past, and for that one I'm going to read, yes, I'm putting it in here again, The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. Okay, roll number 8 and 2 more objectives to go. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Info gathering. Finally, someone reports back with something useful. You've been told she's being held in the depths of the Ancestors' Mountain. While the mountain is quite obvious, it is rather tall, you know. Exactly where the dungeons are and how to get in is a bit trickier. Thankfully, there are a few eyes in the Order with ghosts that used to reside there. They'll do some sleuthing and report back. Read a book involving secrets. And I did forget to mention that I did join the eyes. More info gathering. A book that involves secrets, and I forgot. So I really hope I get the pickup. I think I'm going to swap that. So for romance, if I can't get the pickup, then I will switch to Opposites Attract, as I know I have access to that one, and that's a romance. Because a book that has secrets, I'm pretty sure that Flirting with My Billionaire Enemy by Cindy Ray Hale is going to involve some secrets. So objective 3 is here and objective 4 is here. So we're getting close. A couple more rolls, hopefully. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Info gathering again. Tent is pitched and it's time for some shut-eye. You start to walk through the remaining mission in your head to make sure you haven't forgotten anything. Read a book in the dark or at night. More info gathering, and that is to read a book at night or in the dark. And for this one, I'm going to go with The Scary Book of Fairy Tales by Tim Rayborn. Roll number 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So at least 2 more rolls. A 3. 1, 2, 3. Side quest. This journey will be too slow on foot. Make sure that every member has a horse to ride. Read a book with an animal companion. Next is a side quest, and that was to read a book with an animal companion. And for that one, I'm going to read Reckoning by Michael R. Miller, the 4th book in the Songs of Chaos series. All right, 5 and 2 objectives left. Roll number 11. Oh, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I have objective number 3 and then a side quest. So let's start with the objective. Now that you have a team in place, it's time to make a plan. You know the specter is in the hands of the ancestors, but you're not sure where she is currently being held. Send out some of your best hearts to be persuasive and gather information. Social media scroll. Read the first book you come across on your social media of choice. And the objective. The bears in the woods are terrifying, but their acid can be very helpful as a weapon if you can manage to bottle it up. Track down a beastie and get a vial of venom. Read a book with a 4+ word title. Another objective, and this one was to do a feed scroll and read the first book that you see. And of course, for me, it has to be one that I own or can get from the library, basically, that I can have access to. And feed scroll. So I'm going to go through Storygraph, and the first book that I see that I own or can get from the library, that's what I will read. So, A Witch's Guide to Magical Innkeeping. I am on the list for my library, but right now, like if I can get it, then I will do that one. If not, then I will need to keep looking. Oh, that's me. Can't count that. Arcana Academy, I would love to read, but my library does not have that at all. Ember in the Ashes, I have read the first book, I believe. So there's that one again. Not looking out so far. The Book That Wouldn't Burn, I don't think I have that one. Okay, so I tried Goodreads, I tried Storygraph, there was nothing. So let's try Instagram. I've actually looked through a few on Instagram here, so yeah, I don't have that either. Don't have, well, that's a bullet journal, so there we go. But here, so let's see, I've read that. These are both on my list to read. I'm hoping to finish that in August. And I do still need to read part 2. I've read The Three-Body Problem, I've read The Dark Forest, but I do still need to read Death's End by Cixin Liu. So I think that's the one I'm going to add to my list for the Rebellion Readathon. And of course I am reading, or going to be reading, 2 of the books that were in that stack. But I could actually use one of these because I don't think I'm going to get to both of these in August, but I could use one of those. But instead I went with Death's End by Cixin Liu, the 3rd book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series. And then another side quest, read a 4+ word title in your book. And for that one I'm going to go with The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. And that is a book club book. Okay, so this should be the end, even if I get a 1. So here we go. Roll number 12. 4. There we go. So I just have objective number 4. You have arrived at the prison and made it inside. After a few roadblocks and challenges, the specter is free from the cell. But can you make it out of the mountain? Read a fast-paced book, open to interpretation. And then lastly, the final objective, a fast-paced book. And for that I plan on reading Figment by Cameron Jace, the 2nd book in the Insanity series. Next up, Everbloom Academy with Meg reads. And for Everbloom Academy, you need to choose a department, and I have chosen Department of Magical Studies. You need to do 1 elective, 5 of your department's classes, as well as the 3 basic classes. And there's also extra credit for, which is basically the group book. And I am unable to find that one on any of the platforms that I have. So like my library, Hoopla, Libby, none of them had it. So that's kind of a bummer because it looks really cute. The group book is Chronicles of Weatherwye by Anna James. So you have your class schedule here, which is super cute. I love the aesthetics of this. For the basic classes, you have like this one here, Geography of Everbloom 301. And there are 3 of these that you need to do. And it's Submerged Cities, a book with a map with water. And as you saw in my TBR Opoly video, look at all that water on those maps. And that's Dead Stars Part 1 by Ben Galley. Next we have History of Magic and 301, and that is The Rise of Magical Institutions, a book featuring academia. And for this I plan on reading Blood Promise by Rochelle Mead, and this is the 4th book in the Vampire Academy series. And then lastly, Ancient Languages 301, and that is Power of Ancient Scripts, a book released before 2015, which means it's 2014 or earlier. And I plan on reading The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Next, let's go through our elective. So there's quite a few. I think there were 6 of them that you could choose from. And I decided to go with a Spellcasting 201, and that is to read a nonfiction. I will be reading What If by Randall Munro. Next, we have the classes for our department specifically, and there's 2 different levels for this one. There's the basic and the advanced, so I did kind of pick a book for both. The first one is Fairies, Ferns, and Folklore. For the basics, it's a book featuring fae, and for that I plan on reading Eye of the Fates by A.R. Colbert. For the advanced, it's a book inspired by folklore tales, and I plan on reading The Scary Book of Fairy Tales by Tim Rayborn. Next, we have Fireflies and Fairy Tales. Basics is a book that sparked your interest. And for that, I'm going to read No Fairy Tale by Ben Galley. And for that, I'm going to read The Pharaoh's Mask by Christopher Tubbs. Next is The Alchemy of Seasons. And basics is a book set at fall time, so an autumn book. And for that, I'm going to read Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shay Earnshaw. For advanced, let the cauldron pick your TBR, randomize, and since I already had randomized my TBR jar in TBR Opoly, I'm not surprisingly going with Empire of Silence by Christopher Racchio, the 1st book in the Sun Eater series. Next we have Cloud Watching. The basic is a pale blue cover, and for that I will be reading Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. For advanced, a book with a skyline, and this one stumped me for a little bit because I really struggled finding one that had it like I was picturing like a city skyline, but then I was thinking more kind of a horizon, so there's actually like a skyline, so the difference between the sky and the ground. And I found a few books that kind of fit that description, but I decided finally to go with Opal Fire by Barbara Anino. It looked cute, and it has like a little skyline here with the mountains and the house, and so it may be cheating a little bit, but that's what I'm going with. And lastly, we have Creatures of the Deep, and the basic is a moss-colored cover. Now, I feel like I probably should have gone with something that had creatures in it, but I didn't. I mean, I could go with Dead Stars just because I feel like that's kind of a moss green color. But yeah, I decided to go with The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell because, yeah, there could definitely be moss anywhere on the front or back of this. And that is everything I have for the Everbloom Academy. Next, we have SeasonAthon Academy with Completely Melanie. There's 5 required classes and you have to take each one of them. Some of them have some options and some don't. So let's go ahead and start with the first class. And that is English 2050. Read a nonfiction book and post a review. And for that, I plan on reading The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Next up, English 2230. Read a book set in the UK. Well, no surprise there. The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. Next, we have Foreign Language 4120. Read a translated book. And for that, I will be reading Death's End by Cixin Liu, the 3rd book in the Remembrance of Earth's Past series. Next up, we get to select. So we have creative writing, and there's 4 different classes we can choose from. I've actually chosen 2. English 3110. Reading like a writer. Short fiction. Read a short book, 250 pages or less, and post a review. And the book I chose has 56 pages. And that is Wool by Hugh Howey. And again, this is just like a part 1 or something. It's the one I got off of Amazon randomly. And yeah, it's not the full book, but it is on Goodreads as a book. So I'm using it. Next, we have English 4720. Short Story Workshop. Read a short story collection and post a review. And for this one, I will be reading The Scary Book of Fairy Tales by Tim Rayborn. Next, we get to select from electives, and there are a lot. And there are 10 different electives that you can choose from. And I have chosen 2, although there's 3 others that I was kind of looking at. But the ones I've chosen were Anthropology 2800, Underwater Archaeology. Read a book with water on the cover. And for that, I will be reading Hooked by Emily McIntyre. And it's kind of hard to tell, but there is water on the cover here. So it's kind of all in here. It's like the watch is partially underwater. So the colored one, you can see it a little better. And then lastly, Biology 1050, Life on Earth. Read a book with nature on the cover. And for that, I'm going to read Wind Warrior by John Messenger. And of course, we have nature here with the tornado, and then of course nature back here with all of the crops in the land. There's like trees and all of that in there. So looks interesting, and it's short. All right. Lastly, we have the one everyone's been waiting for, Magical Readathon, Returning to Aurelium by G at Bookroast. Okay, this is the one that was taking me forever to figure out. So I have 4 characters. Each of my characters have multiple callings, and I am just apparently not thinking straight to have done this. I'm pretty sure I won't actually complete all of these, but I'm going to go for it. And there are some things in the Emporium that I can buy to double and triple up on books, to start early, to finish late, and all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of where my thinking is. We'll see. I also tried to fit a whole bunch of books under 350 pages. So hopefully that will help, because I do have some books that are 5 all the way up to 800 plus pages. So yeah, here we go. My first character is Ariel, and she is in the Order of the Crescent, and her callings are Feywild Cartographer, Master of Elements, and Hearthkeeper. Now, she did just start Hearthkeeper this spring, so if for some reason I need to cut some out, I could just pretend I didn't start that one. So as long as I can get the first 2, because this is the last year for Ariel for Master of Elements and Feywild Cartography, and she will graduate. So that's really cool. So I could just wait until next year for her to just go back to school and then take Hearthkeeping. But well, I'm going to stay optimistic that I will finish. Yes. So I will be having sprints on my channel. I will be doing my 24-hour readathon or my 24-hour challenge with HRCYED. So I'm going to try and do that on the same day and at least have 4 to 6 hours worth of sprinting on that day. So stay tuned, make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when that is going to be coming up. Ariel needs to take alchemy and she needs to get a D in alchemy. So she needs 3 books for this class. The first prompt is Liquid Sunlight, a sun on the cover of the book. And for that one, she is reading Empire of Silence by Christopher Rocchio. And I'm pretty sure that's a sun. I hope. It might just be a planet, but I'm using it. I really need to read that book for TBR, so I'm trying to put it in as many readathons as possible. Next up, Blossom Properties. The cover is your birth flower, so that could just be the colors of it. So my birth flower is Narcissa. It is white with a yellow center. And for this, I will be reading Chicago by Maureen Watkins. And then for D, Flavor Enhancing Tricks, auto by author. And for that, I'm going to read No Fairy Tale by Ben Galley. Next, she needs to get an O in Animal Studies, and for that is Hatchlings, a debut book. And for that, she is going to read The Moon Dwellers by David Estes, which is actually another auto by author for me. And I kind of wanted to use this because that actually is a sun, because they're on the moon, and that's actually the sun. But I was struggling to find debut books that I actually have. And I found out this one was, so definitely The Moon Dwellers. This is the first book in the series. Next, we have Astronomy, Invisible Stars. Read a book with a character that has an invisible illness. And for this, I'm going to be reading Highly Suspicious and Unfairly Cute by Talia Hibbert. Next up, an O in Demonology, Impling Obituaries. Read a book with emotions in the title. And for this, I will be reading The Scary Book of Fairy Tales by Tim Rayborn. Next, Elemental Studies, which obviously will need to get a D because she's a master of elements. And the O is Storm Call, book with water on the cover. And for this, she's going to read Halfway by Stephanie Void. And obviously we've got the waves and stuff down there. Ooh, we just had some really cool lightning go by. So excited. We have not had much of a monsoon season this year, so I'm very excited to get some storms. Some thunder. Oh, I'm so excited. Yesterday we had this most beautiful, like the full rainbow we saw where it ended on both sides and then a slight double rainbow on the other side. Oh, it was so beautiful. I wish I would have taken a picture, but we were just enjoying it, just standing and looking and just enjoying, and then never took a picture, which is fine. Sometimes it's better just to be in the moment. Okay. O, Rekindle Cinders. Read a book with a romance. And for that, I will be reading The Pickup by Hannah Doyle. And of course, if I'm not able to get that, I have a whole bunch of other romances I can put in there. D, Ice Spike Columns. Read the first paragraphs of 3 books and then pick one. So I read 3 different books. So A Feast for Wolves, Blood for the Forest, and Iron Keys, all by Ben Galley. And of course, I picked the longest one, the one that's 129 pages. The other ones were all under 100, but that's okay. And that was A Feast for Wolves by Ben Galley. And this one, the first paragraph talks about dragons. So of course, I'm going to read that. Next up, Spells and Incantations. O, Charm, Luck. Roll a d6. And here's my roll. 5. So a number in that page bracket. So I'm pretty sure on her video, she said if you had a 1, it was like 0 to 100. Or 1 to 100, 2 is 101 to 200, 201 to 300, etc. And so I rolled a 5, so that would be 401 to 500 pages. And I decided to go with Dead Stars Part 1 by Ben Galley. This is going to be a month of Ben Galley books, which is actually one of my HRCYED challenges. So that'll be good. And this one is 484 pages. Next, Ariel needs to get a Q in Inscription. And for the O, it's Magic of Primes, a prime number of letters in the title. And Ariel has chosen Fangs, so F-A-N-G-S, that's 5. 5 is a prime. Q, Archiving, a vertical spine title. Oh, I struggle with this one. Most of my books are ebooks and audiobooks. I don't necessarily have a whole lot of physical books. And so I was looking around at all of my books, and most of them are horizontal. Then I went to the Discord and did a search for all of the comments that talked about vertical spines, and I finally found a few. And someone said that their copy, I think it was it the UK copy of The Adventures of Mina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty does have a vertical spine. So I'm going to accept them at their word and use this book. Next, Ariel needs to get a Q in restoration. For O, it's Unbroken Focus Tincture. Read a single POV. And I did look it up to make sure, and it is from Farda's point of view from The Written. That's the original book that Farda comes in. And actually, if you need a debut, The Written by Ben Galley is his debut. Of course, I've already read the first 3 books in that series, so I can't count it. But Iron Keys by Ben Galley is all from Farda's point of view and his alone, so yay. For Q, Continental Remedies. Generate a random country 5 times and pick one. And I forgot to film those, sorry. But I got the UK, and I'm going to be reading The Moorland Cottage by Elizabeth Gaskell. Told you I was going to get that in everything I could. And then lastly, we have an O in shapeshifting, and that is camouflage practice. Genre blend, so a hybrid of some kind. And for that, I'm going to read The Hero's Equinox by Antoine Bandelli. And this one is a sci-fi and mythology with a little bit of fantasy as well, and a touch of mystery. Next up, we have Karasu. And this is Karasu's last year for Godseer and Scribe. Now, he did also start in the spring all the Excavationist as well as Tomebinder. So if for some reason I need to cut some books, I can cut those two and just keep Godseer and Scribe. Now for Karasu, he does need to get a D in Animal Studies. And for O, it's Hatchlings, a debut book. And so here I am trying to find a debut again. But I did a quick little search, and I've actually read from Veronica G. Henry before, and I did enjoy her work. So I did a quick little search, and I actually did find one that I own already. And I had planned on reading this book in October last year, 2 years ago, and never got around to it. So now I will finally get to Bacchanal by Veronica Henry. Next is Q, Baby Dragon Care. So cute. And that is to read a sequel. And for this one, I will read Figment by Cameron Chase, the second book in the Insanity series. And then D, Elder Dragon Care. And that is to read the last book in a series, or the last one that is available, so the up-to-date one. And I plan on reading Heart of the Fates by A.R. Colbert. Art of Illusion need an O, and that is biome manipulation and autumnal setting in the cover or the story. And for that, I'm going to read Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shay Earnshaw. Next, a Q in conjuration. O, conjuring circles, a circle on the cover. And for that, Karasu will be reading Wind Warrior by John Messenger. And there's a circle here, but there's also, this is a circle all around here too. And then for Q for conjuration, borrowing spells, borrow a book from another's TBR. And for that, I'm going to be reading The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin, and this is part of the Well-Read Book Club. So it's on all of their TBRs. Next, an O for demonology, impling outbursts, emotions in the title. And for that, Karasu is going to be reading A Time of Dread by John Gwynne. Next, O in elemental studies, Storm Cell, water on the cover. And he will be reading Hooked by Emily McIntyre. Next is an O in spells and incantations, charm, luck. Roll a d6, and then a book in that page bracket. Let's do a roll for Karasu. 1. And he rolled a 1, so that's a book between 1 and 100 pages. And he found Necromancer by Lisa McBride, and it's kind of funny because Karasu is a shapeshifter, and he can turn into like a raven crow, and there's one on the cover, so it just seems fitting for him to read that. Next, Karasu needs to get a D in inscription. For O, Magic of Prime, so of course a book title that has a prime number of letters. And for that, he is going to read First Flight, which has 11 numbers in the title, and that is by Mary Robinette Cavall. For Q is archiving, and he is part of the Archivist Guild, so that is fitting. And that is to read the vertical spine title. And this one, it was a little easier. Someone actually, I had forgotten about it, and somebody mentioned that the edition they had, that you could read the title vertically, and I was like, you know what, I have one too. So some of them, originally I was thinking it needed to be like, if this Brat, so B-R-A-T, and like Water Moon has that one, and Dune and Circe. but she did say you could read it on the spine this way. And in the Discord, we're kind of going back and forth on which way to go. But this one does have it, so all of these you can read vertically, and I am going to read Rebecca. That is the book club book for the Hardcore Literature Book Club with Benjamin McAvoy, and I have already read it, but I do like Rebecca, and this one is a beautiful edition, and I am excited to read it again. And that's by Daphne du Maurier. Next we have D, Animal Taming Runes, an animal on the cover, and I am hoping to read Lore Olympus by Rachel Smythe, Volume 1, because I'm pretty sure my library has all of them, so I need to make sure I put that on hold now. Next we have Lore. Karasu needs a D, so for O, Forgotten Tongues, read a translated book, and he plans on reading Death's End by Jixin Liu. Q, Ancient Post, letter or notes on the cover or inside the book. He's going to read My Choice by Brandy Blackman, and there is a note right there on the cover. Next we have D, Myth of the Minuscule, 2 letter M's in the title. Struggled with this one. Most of the books I have don't even have an M in the title. So I was going through all of the ebooks that I still need to read, and I did find one. And it's a really long title. And that is Gabriella and Dr. Dugan's Secret Dimensional Transport Machine. And that's by James Cardona. I mean, it's got a cool cover. I don't know if you can hear that thunder or not, but that's really cool. Yeah, it's got a cool cover. Don't know anything about it. We'll find out when I read it. And then lastly, he needs to get a Q in restoration. So O, Unbroken Focus Tincture, a single POV. And for that, I'm going again with another Ben Galley book. The novellas are short, and that'll help. And that is Blood for the Forest. And this is another short story in the Emaneska series. Then lastly is Q, Continental Remedies. Again, the random country generator. This time I got the Philippines, and I plan on reading The Bone Witch by Rin Chapeko. Next we have Luminara, and she is with the House of Arcane, and she has 3 callings. She is the most ambitious out of all of my characters. She wants to be a Moon Warden, an Archmage, and an Alchemist. Now the Alchemist is probably the most challenging and demanding of all of the callings, and yeah. We'll see how she does. So let's start with alchemy. Obviously, she's going to need to get a D in that one to be an alchemist. And O is Liquid Sunlight, again, sun on the cover. And for this one, she's going to read Opal Fire by Barbara Anino. For Q, Blossom Properties. The cover is your birth flower color, and again, that's white and yellow. And I found Love and Friendship by Jane Austen. This is another short story, and I think this is one of the last Jane Austen stories that I need to read. For D, Flavor Enhancing Tricks, auto by author. So again, Ben Galley. So in case you didn't know, one of my HRCYED challenge prompts, the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, my personal challenge is to read all of the Ben Galley books that I own, and so I'm trying to fit them all into the Magical Readathon so I can get them read. And this one is The Weaver and the Worm. It's another short story. Next, she needs an O in Animal Studies, and that is Hatchlings, a debut book. So again, I had to find another debut. And for this one, I'm going to read The Eyre Affair by Jasper Fforde. I'm thinking it's more like a Jane Eyre kind of thing, as opposed to like an owl Irie. Not sure. I'll let you know when I find out. Next, we have a Q in astronomy. For the O, Invisible Stars, a character with an invisible illness. And for this one, I hope to read Anxious People by Frederick Bachman. For Q, Orbital Shift, a genre you don't read often, and that would be nonfiction, and I will be reading What If by Randall Munro. Next, we have an O in Demonology, Impelling Outbursts, emotions in the title. And for this one, I'm planning on reading Loathe to Love You by Ali Hazelwood. Next, we have Elemental Studies. O, Storm Call, water on the cover. And she will be reading Blood Will Tell by Samantha Young. Next, a Q in Spells and Incantations. For O, Charm, Luck, roll a d6. Again, and read in that number bracket.
Okay, dice roll for Luminara. A 2.
And she got a 2, so between 101 and 200. And she'll be reading Indian fairy tales, and it just says in the public domain, and so I assume there's a variety of authors. For Q, current spell trends, released this year. And for that, she'll be reading Reckoning, the fourth book in the Songs of Chaos series by Michael R. Miller. Oh, and Artificery. She's the only one I think that has to take that class. And that's The 9 Laws, the 9th book you see on social media. Again, struggled with this one. Especially when it was the 9th one. So I went to all the different platforms, and I finally found The Enchanted Greenhouse by Sarah Beth Durst. And luckily, this one just came in for me from the library. Looking forward to it. Now she needs to get a D in inscription. For O, it's the Magic of Prime. So again, prime number. And for that, she will be reading Eros, Philia, Agape, and there are 15 letters in the title, and that is by Rachel Swirsky. For Q, it's Archiving, vertical spine title, and that one I did look up, and I was like, oh, that's right, totally forgot, and my library has it, so hopefully I can get that in because there's a wait. But that's Death Note by Tsugumi Oba. I hope that was right. And then for Q, or for D, Animal Taming Runes, animal on the cover, and for that she will be reading Opposites Attract by Camellia Isley. And then a Q in Lore, and O is Forgotten Tongues, a translated book, and for that she will be reading The Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka. For Q, Ancient Post, letter or notes on the cover or inside the book. And for that, she will be reading Emily Wilde's Map of the Other Lands by Heather Fawcett, and this is the second book in the Emily Wilde series. And then lastly, she needs to get a Q in Restoration. For an O, it's Unbroken Focus Tincture, single POV. And for this one, I had to do a little search, but I think it's correct. The Hawthorne Legacy, and I believe that's the second book in the series, and that is by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And then Q, Continental Remedies, random country generator 5 times, and then pick one. I got Japan, and I'm going to read Witch Hat Atelier, and that is by Kamomi Shirahama. Again, don't know if that was right. Sorry if it was wrong. But that's what I've been wanting to read for a while, so I'm excited to get to it. And then lastly, we have Castien, and he is a member of the Mindwalkers, and he is probably the most chill of all my characters. Not quite as openly ambitious, you could say. He is still doing 3 callings, but one is Mindmender, Dreamwalker, which is a little more ambitious, and the other is Bard. He needs to get an O in Alchemy, and that is Liquid Sunset, a sun on the cover. And for that, he is planning on reading of Sages and Saints by Alexander Zderno. And this one, it's hard to tell. This one has a moon behind him, and this one, there's a sun behind this character here. It's hard to tell when they're not in color. Next is a Q in Art of Illusion. For O, Biomanipulations, Autumnal Setting. So on the cover or in the story, and I plan on reading Positively Poisonous by Melissa Erin Jackson. For Q, Smokescreen, Technology on the cover, and I plan on reading The Last Stand of the Golems, and this is by Joseph Graf, and it does say on here, a post-apocalyptic battle for survival, mechanical golem soldiers versus the Mortis Plague's undead hordes. It sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. Next is Spells and Incantations, and he needs a Q. And O is Charm, Luck. Roll a d6, and then again that number bracket. And
Dice roll for Castien. A 4.
And he rolled a 4, which is a book from 301 to 400 pages, and that is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. For Q, Current Spell Trends, released this year, and hopefully if I get it from the library, I'm first on the list, so I should be the first one to get it, and that is The Raven Boys graphic novel by Maggie Stiefvater. Next, he needs to get a D in Lore, and for the O, it's Forgotten Tongues, a translated book, and he plans on reading Ragna Crimson by Daiki Kobayashi. And then for Q, Ancient Post, a letter or notes on the cover or inside the book, and he plans on reading Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. For D, Myth of the Minuscule, 2 or more letter M's in the title. Again, I'm struggling with this a little bit, but then I forgot there was a book that I've had on my Kindle for a while that I wanted to read, and it should get me in the mood for spooky season, and that is Hummingbird by T.C. Parker. Looks interesting. Next is Psionics and Divination, and Castien needs to get a D. And for the O, it's Premonition Prep, a genre spin. So here is what I spun. So I got steampunk, and I decided to go with The Pharaoh's Mask. It's hard to tell in this one. And that's by Christopher C. Tubbs, but it is, if you could see around the mask, there's a lot of cogs and things like that. But I did double check, and it is steampunk. I'm excited. I love steampunk. For Q, it is Future Sight, a book with a TV or a movie adaptation. And for that one, I'm reading Mary Poppins Comes Back, the second book in the Mary Poppins series by P.L. Travers. Then for D, Dream Interpretation, a book that fits a recent theme of your dreams. And I did have a dream about my Kindle, actually. So about books. And for that one, I'm going to read The BuJo Book Club by Jillian Harvey. And then lastly, we have Restoration. And for O, it is Unbroken Focus Tincture, single POV, and for that one I will be reading People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. Pretty sure that one's just a single POV. And then for Q, Continental Remedies. Create a random generator for random country generator, and for that one he got Dominica, and he'll be reading Wild Sargasso Sea by Jean Reeves. And that is it. The 5 million books on my TBR for September. Yeah. I'm pretty sure I got the majority of what I needed to into most of the readathons, so that should be good. And then for the Magical Readathon, like I said, I will cut classes I just started in the spring if I need to. I want to make sure I get those core classes done. And for my 2 new characters, if for some reason I just kind of forget about those until next year, that's okay too. As long as I get those 4 core classes finished, or callings finished, then I will be happy with that. And hopefully, with all of the shorter books on my TBR, I should be able to get through most of these fairly quickly. It's just the few 500, 600, 700, and 800 page ones that I have that I'm a little concerned about, but I am going to do my best, and if I get a punishment for my TBR-opoly, then I get a punishment again. It's fine. And thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the September Readathon land. And please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other bookish content. And if you want to see updates on how I'm doing throughout the month, I will try and be doing vlogging throughout as well, so you can see where I am. And please join me for sprints coming up in September, so again, hit that notification bell so you know when those are going to be, and help me to get through all of these books. I hope to have one that's between 4 to 6. I usually do 4-hour sprints because that works really well with my schedule, but I'm going to try and get a day where I can do at least 6 hours. So if you have a lot of books that you need to read, then come and join me for that. And if you made it this far in the video, leave some type of cog or wheel emoji in honor of the steampunk book that I get to read this month. And until next time, keep reading. Bye!